Anyone who knows me knows I'm a Met fan, not a Dodger fan. With that said, I am a little heartbroken over what happened last night. Last night, the longtime voice of the Dodgers from 1950 to 2016, Vincent Edward Scully, or simply Vin Scully, passed away at the age of 94. From humble beginnings in Brooklyn on November 27th, 1927, at, s- and growing up just blocks away from the old polo grounds, at 1935, while he was still in his private school, well, he told the nuns he wanted to become a play by play broadcaster. Sure enough, during his college years, he'd get that crack at Fordham University doing their football games. It was at that point he caught the eyes and ears of then legendary voice of the Brooklyn Dodgers, Red Barber. And in 1950, at the age of 22, 23, Vin would be taken under Red's wing. When Red left the team in 53, Vin became their time Scully became the full-time voice of the Dodgers, going from just doing one inning a game to a whole game. He would call the Dodgers win over Yankee Stadium in Game 7 of the World Series in 1955, but it was so calm, people were wondering, why didn't you jump for joy? Vin said he was on the brink of crying in ecstasy over that fact. Because prior to that, the Dodgers had never won a World Series. A year later, he called the Don Larson perfect game when these two met again in the World Series. This time, the Yankees got their revenge. In 1958, he and his family packed up and moved with the team to LA. First several years, they were playing at the LA Memorial Coliseum. And people were so ecstatic to hear this voice that they had only heard rumors about calling their games on the West Coast. So much so they'd bring their own transistor radios to the ballpark to the point where Vin would have to tell them to turn their radios down because they were getting feedback. But whether you were stuck in traffic, on the job, at the beach, or on the street, if you had a transistor radio in hand back then in California, and listened to old Vin Scully, you were in heaven. In 65, when the Dodgers moved to Chavez Ravine, he called Sandy Koufax's perfect game. And by the 70s, he'd be picked up by CBS and NBC. In his career, he called 25 World Series, 12 All Star games, and multitudes of PGA Tour events, and a couple of Super Bowls. From a decade later to Billy Monday saving the American flag in 75 between the Dodgers and Cubs, when an arsonist was planning to burn it right on the field in Dodger Stadium, to 1986 when the Buckner Ball happened at Shea Stadium between the Sox and Mets. And of course, probably his most prominent call, 1988, Game 1 of the World Series between the A's and Dodgers. Kirk Gibson, bad leg and all, coming up to pinch hit against Dennis Eckersley, and he smashed it over the right field fence. And Vin said, and I quote, "In a season that has been most improbable, the impossible has happened." That moment sparked the Dodgers to win the World Series of '88. It was indeed a Cinderella run that year. Vin was with the Dodgers through the good times and the bad, for better or worse. In 2016, at the age of 88, he decided to call it quits. Every ballpark he went to was given his final farewell. In 82, he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Vin was to LA what Harry Carey was to Chicago. I can't believe I'm saying that saying that about Vin Scully in the past tense because he's gone. Vin, I never got to meet you in person, nor did I ever get to see. I only went to one Dodgers game in my life. That was against the Mets at Shea. Dodgers won that game. That said, you were the guy that was so calm and collective in the booth. You had that grandfatherly charm to you. And we're going to miss you, big guy. And we're going to miss you, Vin. Vin Scully dead at the age of 94. Rest in peace. Rest in peace, Scully. It's not goodbye, but it is see you soon. Leave a comment, smash the like, sub to the channel. Goodbye.